Welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we are just trying to find out how to watch what we want, when we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Where's the good stuff, Brian?
Oh my goodness. The good stuff is half an hour ago when we were supposed to have started the show. Thank you very much for being patient, gang. It's been a bonkers one, but I'll tell you what, as nice as you guys were to wait the little bit long that you had to wait a little bit longer because I was not about to walk into this show without having seen and fully digested, much like Galactus will digest planet Earth, all of the Fantastic Four trailer.
That's your commitment to this bit. Is what we're saying.
To this bit being our career.
Our entire career. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little later on. We've got all kinds of good news for you. Let's start with the supply run.
Supply run, supply run, supply run.
If I may, Brian, just a little aside before we get to the main topic of the supply run. I have a little Stream Deck here. And when our streaming software plays the little intro like that, it mutes me. And usually what I do is I press the little Stream Deck button and it unmutes me. Except today at the beginning of the show, when instead of unmuting me, it said, "What bookmark would you like to add?" for some reason, multiple times.
Makes sense.
Then just now we played the supply run music. I pressed it again and it worked.
Oh. Boy, aren't those the worst problems? Yeah. Like just be broken all the time, not some of the time.
Either broken all the time or not broken all the time, but don't go back and forth because then I don't trust you the next time. Anyway, Apple canceled Mythic Quest. That's not the news. We actually already talked about that. It was shortly after the finale of season 4. We did maybe note that the episode at the end of season 4 didn't feel like a finale, so this seemed like an unexpected canceling. Well, guess what? It was. That finale, called Heaven and Hell, had several unresolved plot lines, and Apple has now replaced it with a new version that ties up some of the biggest loose ends. And here's what I wanted to talk about today, Brian. The original version that was first streamed before they announced the cancellation is no longer available. If you go and watch Mythic Quest now, that episode of Heaven and Hell at the end will be the new revised version that feels more like a finale. Should Apple have kept the original version available somehow? Is this revisionist history?
I have extremely detailed opinions about this from one end of it to another. Like, we could go maybe 7 or 8 vectors deep of you have to decide blank or blank to get the total Brian journey on this. So before I even start talking, I would love to know, both from you and from Amos, just what your gut says about this as a starting point.
My gut tells me that Apple should not put the original in the timeline, but possibly at some point should make that original available as an extra. Like maybe when you buy the entire season, or maybe you can buy it separately as a bonus, something like that. I think it would be wise of Apple to do that because Mythic Quest is going to have a bunch of fans for a long time, I think. And they should make it available and they should control its availability. My guess is they won't do that because that's messy. That's unusual. They don't want to set a precedent, blah, 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 blah. And so this version of the Mythic Quest finale is going to be a hunt and chase game across the internet on Daily Motion and torrents and wherever fine videos are traded outside of authorization. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So you know what this reminds me of is last week when we were talking about the kind of programming that Netflix was not publicly, but allegedly quietly soliciting. Distracted attention programming, right? Programming that works while you're folding the laundry, but doesn't work when you've got your eyes fully on it. That is a case of, at the macro level, if you pay too much attention to it, it ceases to be good, right? And then we've already talked about highest fidelity content, where it's like even after you've watched it, you want to watch it again and again and again and dissect every single moment, kind of like we're going to do with Moonlighting today. But this, to me, is a reminder that there's another layer of storytelling, the slow motion unfolding meta story of the unpacking of the story. So right now, so let's say you have a 1-for-1. You have the content. You watch it all exactly as presented, and now you're at a cliffhanger, and then suddenly, whoops, nope, this is the end of that. And if you want to tie a bow around all that, that is one unit of the story of Mythic Quest. However, just like an Act 1 is a bunch of vignettes that get tied in a bow and it becomes Act 1, and then there's Act 1, 2, and 3, and that gets tied in a bow, and that becomes the first of a trilogy, and so on. Likewise, let's tie the journey of Mythic Quest so far, tie a bow around it, and that becomes Act 1 of the meta story of the journey of Mythic Quest. So in this story, Mythic Quest had a run, and they went back and they're like, that's the end of it, and they tied a bow around it. Now, you and I both know that original first episode isn't deleted from the internet. It's out there. They've got the masters of it. So let's say 5 years from now, the time is right and people are hungry enough that it's profitable to go back and revisit the story of Mythic Quest. In that case, then all of that becomes Act 1. They resume, and guess what they get to do, Tom? They get to sub back in that cliffhanger ending, and now it's a perfectly serviceable end of the first act, bridge to the next one, and so on. So, past Brian would be very obsessed with the art standing on its own. But then 30 years of doing magic later, I no longer perceive that art can stand on its own. It only exists as an interaction with somebody appreciating the art. Sometimes it's real time, like in a magic trick. Other times it's mostly real time, like a podcast or a TV show or something. Other times it's very, very slow motion. For example, the example I just gave. And in that context, I'm totally cool with this. I can't believe I'm saying that because nobody was more mad at the special editions and the meddling, the going back and retouching your old work than me. And in fact, if you want to call me names and say I've betrayed old Brian, number one, you're probably right. Number two, hit us up at cordkillers@gmail.com.
I actually liked the meddling of Lucas. I liked that he put the Jabba the Hutt scene back in and put the slug Jabba the Hutt in, because I'm like, oh yeah, that fits the story. And at that point in my life, I finally understood that no story is ever done, even after it's published. We have a childlike part of our brain that when we're told a story, we want to believe it's real. Right? Like that's the fun, is like, what if this is real? And if it's real, well, then you need to tell me what happened. You can't change what happened. But you know, as we get more sophisticated, we realize, oh, stories can be edited, stories can be changed, stories can be retold, and they can be changed in the retelling. They can be adapted. You can change them in a movie from the book, and it can be a better or worse movie, depending on how you change them. But it's not the changing that's the problem. So I don't have a problem with them changing this. But then there's the part of me that's like, okay, stepping out of the person consuming the story, stepping out of my role as an author of stories, and stepping into the role of a historian. I like that version existed, and I might be curious to see what they changed, and I might want to like sort of relive the experience of the person who saw that and maybe was a little bit frustrated by it. So that should be available somehow legitimately for me to do. I almost have more of a problem. I had some like internal reaction to your suggestion of them restoring this version again, because I'm like, stop it. Pick one. It's fine that you didn't realize you were going to cancel this until it was too late, and you did the right thing by going back and letting them tie it up. But don't change your mind again down the road. Just live with the ending that you have now. And if you want to restart it, pick up from there, is kind of how I felt. But then I immediately was like, it's pretty intriguing, though, to be able to be like, oh, it's alternate universes.
Well, and I was the same way. Two things. First of all, if I remember correctly, maybe I'm being charitable to myself. It wasn't so much the meddling with the special editions that bugged me so much as the flat pronouncement that you will never be able to see the original again. That
still
upset
bugs
me greatly.
Yeah.
And although I feel like a sucker now, because here they are using that to get my butt in the seat to go see the unaltered original film again. But
no, absolutely.
And I may have momentarily lost that second thought, but yes. I'm a big fan of figuring out what if this air quotes new problem is one that already existed. And the first thing that popped into my mind is live performances. Very rarely does a live performance exactly match the album version of a song.
Sure.
Now, they don't proclaim that the album doesn't exist anymore, but that's certainly not the song they're doing. You know, you add another fourth stanza about Princess Di dying to Candle in the Wind or whatever. That is of that live version. You know, when Paul McCartney plays Sgt. Pepper's, he doesn't play the original, he plays the reprise, and it's one of those things where the live version is better. Same thing with Live and Let Die.
Green Day just this weekend added Palestine to the lyrics of one of their songs to make it appropriate or applicable to current situations, right?
Yeah. Well, and so in those cases, I don't think anybody minds them. But also, I don't know. I don't think either of us read the specific press release from Apple. They probably didn't declare flatly, "You'll never see it again," and twist their mustache.
Oh no, I don't even think there was a press release. People
that
just
sounds
noticed,
like the Apple we know and
wait
love.
a minute,
Yeah.
this is not the same version, is it? Yeah. They just kind of quietly went up and put it up there,
Which is the right move, man.
Oh no, they did announce the plan. Apple canceled Mythic Quest and then announced a plan to resolve the cliffhangers.
So here's the other thing too is, I mean, the only difference, it's the same action. Let's take Firefly. Firefly ends.
Oh no, it was from the Mythic Quest. Sorry, it was from the Mythic Quest cast. They posted, "Because endings are hard, with Apple's blessing, we made one final update to our last episode so we could say goodbye instead of just game over." But it didn't come from Apple. It came from Rob McElhenney.
Yeah, that sounds right. Anyway,
I like how
I'm
he
okay
says
it.
with Apple's blessing, as if he would have like made a version without their blessing somehow.
I mean, look, in an age where Deadpool exists because a air quote leaked test footage went out on the internet and the fans demanded it, it would not surprise me at all if the cast got together and a leaked final button on the Mythic Quest story was to end, or if they were to at a live event do a table read of the air quotes lost script, or
right.
You know, and again, like, we don't mind it when they add something to the end. In this case, they're just using not just the Sharpie, but they're using, you know, the eraser and redrawing the ending to make more sense.
Yeah, and I get where, like, they've got a spot in a timeline in a content management system for one episode called Heaven and Hell. And as soon as you have two versions, it becomes really complicated how to categorize them and all that. So it's much simpler to do this. But I hope they are able to make that original version available to fans who want to see it legitimately somehow. If they don't, it'll be available illegitimately. Honestly, it won't be lost to history, but it would be nice if it was easy for people to get to. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
So to make that happen, we have decided to start a fund.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll eventually be a viewing party for the lost episode of Mythic Quest.
Because if we have a big enough party, that demand will cause it to happen.
Yeah, well, and now, of course, it's just one of many ideas on the table, but
Sure.
If this is an important issue to you, let us assure you that this super programming action community, I guess you would call it a super PAC, you can contribute to our super PAC, which, among other things, will very probably maybe demand a showing of this. So if that issue
Absolutely.
is the kind of thing that gets you so riled up that you reach for your wallet to do something about it, I encourage you, do something about it. Don't just sit there. Head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers. Yeah, technically there's a little bit in the budget to keep us loud, live, and independent, but mainly it's about insert most important irascible thing right now.
Yeah. No, person you hate is about to eliminate thing you love. And the only way to stop them is patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Oh my God. Do you know I just heard world is broken and that the only fix is thing that costs money? I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to up my pledge at patreon.com/Cordkillers. And you know what? I'm not going to say that is me, but my kids, they're always like, Dad, don't just give money to other people. Yeah, they're like, what's in it for our family? And I was like, kids, just remember that you get early access to the full experience. You get exclusive access to After Talk. And most importantly, that's where we do spoiler in time. So look, and they're like, as long as you're getting something of value, because we are purely transactional Vulcan children. And I say, who is your father?
I totally noticed that about your children, which is why I had to tell them it's matching funds. For every $5 that people pledge to our Patreon, we will spend $5. We will match those funds.
Yeah.
No,
100%. Listen, don't take our word for it. Be like person you respect. Go ahead. Give some money to get thing you believe in. It's the only moral according to your religion or lack thereof thing to do.
But urgent. There's a deadline.
Oh, yes. No, as a matter of fact, terrible thing will happen if you don't do it by reasonable deadline that is just at the edge of your periphery.
Yeah. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. Let's move on to the search party.
Nailed it. Nailed it, Tom.
Yeah, because they can't resist. Mute button's working still. So the only thing that Brian made sure he did today was watch the trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps. He said, if I do but one thing today for my people, it will be that. Fantastic Four First Steps coming to theaters July 25th. We constantly check in with Brian on his temperature on new trailers. What do you think of this one?
The whole thing. Okay, remember last week I was just gaga over the Murderbot trailer about it being perfectly constructed.
No, I was excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, I loved it so much that I at Sunday dinner, I showed the entire family, and it was fun because I explained this is why this is the perfect trailer, and it got. My daughter is like, well, now I want to read all the series. I'm like, I'll read it with you. That's how excited I am.
Yeah.
That was a case where the whole thing was a press release of the entire fractal, as I think of it, of the story. You could see all the layers to it. This trailer, for me, because I'm already familiar with the fractal, and I feel like they kind of pitched the overall world and the story and the core characters last time, this trailer was all about one moment of genuine magic. And it was Reed and Sue walking in and them overreacting to Johnny saying you're late. And then Ben, and it was subtle enough that I missed it at first, but Ben, ever acute, instantly picks up on it. And in that 5-second moment, Tom, I was fully in the movie just like that. And it told me everything I needed to know about the magic is going to be there. It's going to be real. They give us the tiniest hint of a bit of the theme song at the very, very end. And you could tell how lovingly crafted everything is, the depth and the layer and the excellence of it. I am all the way in. It was an excellent slice that put me right into the world, right into the show.
I think there is a 92% chance that this all comes out the way you're feeling. I worry about that 8% if you're built up this well to go in and go like, I'm not let down. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think it will. I think this is
at this point. Yeah. I mean, I think 92 to 8 is a pretty good spread because you know when you know to look for the trappings, the detailed work of excellence and thoughtfulness. For example, the CG on the Silver Surfer is not extraordinary. We've had silver-skinned CG humans since 1990, with Terminator 2, 1992.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Terminator 2, right? And this one isn't so extraordinary that it was leaps and forward, but I'm like, why does this work? And it's the little details, like in the middle of a fireball, the Silver Surfer moving, and it doesn't hit you over the head with it, but you see the rip curl of a wave, and it captures, for lack of a better word, the vibe of the Silver Surfer, the cosmic, the power cosmic, and I don't know. It's that level of detailed edge work and the shadow of the story. When noticing it makes me feel very, very good about it.
That's good. I am glad to hear that. I want this to be good too, because I can't wait to see it myself. Let's move on to Star Wars. I don't know why that made me laugh.
But... Oh, no. Because of the implication that we're about to be less believing in something.
Star Wars celebrations happened in Tokyo over the weekend. We got a few pieces out of there. Ryan Gosling's Star Wars movie got a title. It is called Starfighter. It will be released in 2027, directed by Shawn Levy, who did Deadpool and Wolverine. It is a standalone movie set 5 years after the events of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It is not connected to the Skywalker family, though. So, period of time after all the Star Wars movies we've seen so far. Connection to Skywalkers, none. The idea is not to have somebody show up or anything like that. It's just going to be Ryan Gosling playing the role of a starfighter, which sounds cool. And I don't want to criticize it for not having a story, because the point was not to tell us the story yet. The point was to tease that little bit about this, because it's not coming out till 2027. Yeah,
I'll be curious. I guess I don't know. We're finally into uncharted territory post Skywalker era, and
we're on the
crossed.
Outer Rim, the uncharted outer rim,
right? If there's a small speck of dust that's the least important in the universe, that's where we are. I wish, a metaphor escapes me.
But, well, you can tattooing that on my
heart. I'm hoping for. Here's my prayer to George Lucas, dear George. Please let it be that Disney learned an important lesson from Andor. The end.
I get the feeling, because Shawn Levy is involved, that this is going to be funny, that it is going to have a wink and a nod, that it's going to be Ryan Gosling being a starfighter, trying to avoid situations, being a ne'er-do-well, maybe a little bit of a Deadpool-ish figure. But who knows? Maybe I'm just reading too much into Shawn Levy being.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It'd be great if like Solo almost was. Oh, wait. Whoops. Was it Lord and Miller that were working on it? And then they got Ron Howard in it?
Yeah. Well, we'll see if that happens here. I'm guessing it will not. They think they've learned their lesson. Season 2 of Ahsoka will come out someday. I couldn't find the date, but Hayden Christensen will be returning as Anakin Skywalker. He talked a little bit about how it's fun to play Anakin not evil, like Anakin being a hero, which is the period of time they're dealing with Ahsoka. Game of Thrones actor Rory McCann is stepping in to play Baylan Skoll, the evil Jedi, which I think is just a Sith, but he's not a Sith. He's described as an evil Jedi. So anyway, season 1, the actor Ray Stevenson died before the show aired. So they went ahead and they aired it with Ray Stevenson in the role, knowing that they would not be able to bring him back. And they cast Rory McCann, who was the Hound in Game of Thrones. Admiral Akbar will come back and apparently will go head to head with Thrawn. That was the notable things I found about Ahsoka season 2 coming.
That phrase, evil Jedi, is fascinating because, like you said, wouldn't that be a Sith? And then I realized that that's kind of a Z-axis on the moral compass. It's like they're independent of each other. It's like there's Sith and Jedi are religions, but there could be like an evil Jedi just in the way that there are contemptible scoundrels in any religious order.
He's not a Jedi anymore to the Jedi.
Right.
But he's also not something else, right? Because Sith, there can only be 2. So he's like, well, I don't want to get shanked by my master. So I'll just stay out of the organized religion. He's an atheist Jedi, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Finally, a new batch of 9 Star Wars Visions animated shorts will begin October 29th on Disney+. Also, a spin-off from the previous Visions short, The Ninth Jedi, is going to be a short-run series, also from writer-director Kenji Kamiyama, just like the original short was.
I love this. Let's get back to just making cool stuff.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Quit trying to MCU. We had our fill. It was really good.
Peacemaker, speaking of the DCU, is going to debut August 21st. We will get Peacemaker Season 2 August 21st from WWE Champion John Cena.
Yes. Can't say enough good things about Peacemaker. It's great. It's the best.
We got a trailer for 28 Years Later, which will hit theaters June 20th, 2025. So a little bit more of the zombies in the world and what's happening. Basically, there's a society on an island that has been holding out, whereas the mainland is all full of zombies, and they have to go back to the mainland for some reason. Guess what? It's full of zombies still.
Please tell you, I mean, I didn't get time to watch this one because I saved it all for Fantastic Four. They didn't do my slow zombies idea, I guess.
Not yet. Saving that one for the twist.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Daredevil Born Again finished and will return for a second season. That won't happen until March of next year. So you got a year to wait, but only a year from the first season to the next. I didn't end up continuing with Born Again. I watched the first couple episodes and then we got distracted. That doesn't mean I won't go back to them, but it might be an abandoning. I'm not sure.
I hear that it's worth sticking around. Like,
yep, I've seen rumblings of the same. Yeah,
people get strangely quiet on the topic, and they choose their words very carefully around.
Many
me,
people
which
are
tells
saying,
me,
yeah.
which tells me, and it is funny. I don't know. AI has me thinking about all the ways that a single human is really a node in a mesh network of other humans. And it's like we wait on our cues from our other neurons or synapses to fire, and I feel like I'm about to fire on that one.
Netflix has decided to split The Sandman's final season into 2 volumes. The first 6 episodes will launch on July 3rd. The second 5 episodes finishing the series will release on July 24th.
You know what, Tom? Unrelated story.
Yeah.
Let's say there was an artistic project and or somebody really busted a stinker in the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might wait a while for the air to clear about that stinky tooth that somebody made so that, everybody could get back to enjoying maybe the art you're trying to make. It seems like breaking into 2 seasons, pretty good way to let the air clear.
Is it, or does it extend the pain? Right?
I don't know.
Why not just debut it all on July 24th? Because now you've got 2 focuses for people to pay attention instead of 1.
Yeah, but in general, it's the natural order of things for people to wear down. I mean, people still play Michael Jackson music at weddings.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying if the idea is to give space, why give more opportunities? Why not put it at the latest one?
Well, because I don't know. I at this point, I'm trying to defend the tactical. I'm just speculating that maybe people are waiting. Maybe moneyed interests said, hold off a little bit. Can you figure out a way to let the end of it happen farther away from right now in the timeline?
Yeah, just that one just doesn't make sense to me, but maybe I'm missing something. Finally, Ryan Coogler says he wants to get back to, he's talked about before, making an X-Files reboot now that Sinner is out and very successful. So he's in conversations not only with Chris Carter, but says he has talked to Gillian Anderson about it. Fingers crossed that things work out. But I'd be curious what Ryan Coogler does with an X-Files reboot.
Yeah. One thing that I stumbled across when I opened up to watch Moonlighting was a big old fat advertisement reminding me that a little show called Andor premiered today.
Today?
The 22nd of April. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's out today. Is it out yet though?
I don't know.
It is 3:27 Pacific time for me.
I'm glad that I've started to, and we've talked about this, but I'm glad to be thinking of TV just like really good novels because can't wait to get to that.
The book is out. I'll go buy it when I get a chance. Yeah.
Right.
So I can't watch it until 6:00. It is not available. And that's 9 p.m. Eastern. So you can't watch it till 8:00.
Okay. Yep. In my free time.
But everyone listening to this on Wednesday can watch it because it's already
out.
All right, let's get to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
We call it buried treasure because we think it's treasure, but it might have been buried from your attention. So we are digging it up and bringing it to your attention. These are things we've been watching lately. Brian, do you have something? I know you've been crazy busy.
Well, I have been crazy busy, but maybe I'll jump ahead and I'll take some of my ad real estate to tell you about something that really neat. Here's what I watched, Tom, and I've watched it 5 times since Friday. It's an hour and 15-minute long-form interview with Bill Oakley, friend of the show, who came on Cordkillers, author of Space 1969, and a creator of the Steamed Ham sketch, and head writer of The Simpsons and so on. He did a sit-down interview for The Modern Rogue. And it's great, and I want to plug it. That's my ad.
No, you don't get to watch your own thing in
I
Buried
definitely
Treasure,
watch it. Yeah,
Brian.
okay, all right. In fairness, so one of the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take over more of the editing responsibilities to create excellent content. So I did all of the. So first I did the interview, then I edited the interview.
This is behind the scenes stuff. This is appropriate in the ad space. This is interesting stuff that you have an amazing interview coming out. I just don't think it counts as buried treasure because there's a conflict of interest.
Well, I've looked at the numbers on it, Tom, and you'd think it's buried pretty deep. Not enough people are watching it for all the work I put into it.
And I guarantee it's a treasure. So,
in all seriousness, I am continuing to. There's only one show that causes me to drop everything and watch it, and that's when my 12-year-old says, "Dad, can we watch The Good Place?" And so definitely happens, and that is continues to be the case. And even though it's now my 4th lap. We're getting ready for next episode is a Chip Driver mystery.
If anybody doesn't know, that was the lowest ranked episode that we watched as part of the full experience when we did The Good Place for the full experience. So that we are subjecting Brian to an extra repeat of that one.
Well, I'm hoping I'll be a little bit more primed to hate it less this time.
Yeah, maybe you will. I want to mention we just finished up When Life Gives You Tangerines on Netflix. And I cannot recommend this show enough if you want the ultimate family drama.
Really?
It is so good at just in capturing what it's like to be young and in love, what it's like to be a new parent, what it's like to see your children become parents, what it's like to lose your spouse, by telling asynchronously the story of a couple from the moment they are together but not together as like children, as like 10, 11-year-old children, all the way through their courtship, her not wanting anything to do with him, her having big dreams and wanting to leave the island, him wanting to help her, that not happening, them suffering and about to lose their house, can't get by, getting help from a relative. You also see the daughter. And one of the cool things they did is the same actor who plays the young woman version plays the daughter, and they get a different actor to play the older version so that you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely her daughter because it's the same actor, right? But it follows the entire life, and there's nice twists and turns where, they show you a scene early on of the main character at a nursing home. And then later you find out how she got to the nursing home, and it's not what you expected, and all of that. And it's just so good at describing and illuminating those moments in life that you hear everyone talk about. Like, I can't imagine that the person who wrote this didn't consult with people who were very old to be like, okay, what's going through your mind? What happens? How does this happen? What do you think of your kids? But the parts of it that I have lived through and know about, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that is absolutely the way that goes. Just absolutely fabulous. So it's a tearjerker, but it's also funny. And it may not be your type of story, and I totally get that. But if it does sound like it, I can't recommend it enough. It's called When Life Gives You Tangerines on Netflix.
How did it come up on your radar?
The main actor is a singer that Eileen and I love, but she's also an amazing actor. So we were like, oh, she's got a new show coming out. We got to watch it. And then it went above and beyond our expectations for that, because we've seen other things she's been in and she's always good, but you know, that movie was okay. This is really, really good.
Very cool.
Amos had something that we were going to include in the buried treasure today. Amos, what have you dug up for people?
Kevin Bacon is returned from hell to kill demons in The Bondsman.
Oh, is that what it is? First of all, I've only seen, the banner ads that pop up, and it does have that gritty gravitas to it, which I don't know.
Now, is he playing Kevin Bacon, or is it just Kevin Bacon playing someone who has come back from
Kevin Bacon playing a character,
okay.
a Southern gentleman in Georgia.
I'm only a little bit disappointed that he's actually not just playing himself coming back from hell.
I'm actually kind of over the meta of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, all right, fair.
But yeah, this is it's only 8 episodes. It's on Amazon Prime, and he the very first scene of the show, he gets killed, and then he wakes up in a wall and has to break himself out of there, where the people that killed him had buried his body, and he has to go through the process of figuring out what his job is now, and it's hunting down demons that escaped from hell.
Nice.
And it's only one season right now. It's 8 episodes. They're half-hour episodes. It's easy burn. My wife and I watched it last night after dinner. The entire season after, in one night. And it's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got some touching moments. It's a lot of campiness. I don't know. It's good TV. It's a good 3-hour watch.
The Bondsman. You said it's on Prime, Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime, yeah.
Fantastic. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Anything else to add to what I cut you off on earlier?
Oh, no.
Which sounds like an amazing...
You rightly busted me. I will implore you guys. One of my favorite moments ended up being the title, because, I don't know, rules of titling on YouTube are kind of curious, where you have to turn up the contrast to make it the most outrageous juxtaposition possible, but also one that does pay off in the content. And for me, that moment was the realization, because Bill Oakley, he got his start at Fox doing like low-level production work on America's Most Wanted. And the moment, because I'm really dialed in on when people are accessing these authentic moments that they're excited about, I got to see his eyes dilate as he described what it was like to be live on air when they caught a murderer. And I was like, the Steamed Hams writer helped catch murderers. And then I just knew. In fact, you could probably at that moment see me suppressing a grin, because I now knew what the episode was.
That is, and you know what? The reason that title works is because anybody who hears that now is like, now I need to know how the Steamed Ham writer caught murderers. Like, you
hey man,
want to know
all I did
that
was
story.
say a true fact. It's up to you. I mean, do you want to be the kind of person who doesn't know the whole story about that? That's on you.
Yeah. And YouTube native with the Steamed Ham. So good. And obviously it's YouTube, but what's the easiest way to tell people to find that?
YouTube.com/Modern Rogue. And be on the lookout, gang. We were talking about this in the pre-show. But I think I've referenced obliquely the fact that I'm obsessed for 8 months now, reworking the entire production pipeline. The truth is, like, summer of last year, I realized, okay, pretend I just got here. What does YouTube want the channel to be? And YouTube is, if they put tabs on everything they'd like you to do. So it seems to me like Modern Rogue needs to have a podcast, and that became the long form interviews. Needs to have content that eats up a lot of viewer minutes, also shorts, also posts, also. And so bit by bit, I'm filling in the gaps, and it's really, really neat. I was also alluding to the fact that post Roger Waters, Pink Floyd said, this is a return to our roots. And so right now, because YouTube allows you to up to 1 minute play copyrighted whatever you want on shorts, it turns out, Tom, that Hacking the System, the TV show I did for National Geographic, was written from the beginning. I wanted a dopamine hit every 1 minute. So guess what carves up extremely nicely into 1 minute chunks. So I've been running all of Hacking the System. And the weird part is I'm not getting away with anything. It's like, it says there's copyrighted ID stuff in here. Good job. and now for some other channel, that would be a miss. But for mine, it's just the authentic story. It's the core of where Modern Rogue came from.
Yeah.
And so it really does. It feels like we're just getting back to our roots. It's really great.
Fantastic. That's really cool. So go check that out, folks. Watch all of those things, because I can tell you from talking to Brian, it's only going to get better. So you want to be there now and experience every little bit of it.
Let's better.
Move on to Scanning the Horizon.
Send a scanning to avoid.
Scanning the horizon!
Discovery announced on Tuesday that Max will charge an extra $7.99 per member per month to add someone to your account outside of your household. So they're doing the thing where they try to detect who's outside of the household. But if you have someone away at college and you want to add them, you can do that. You can allow subscribers across all tiers to invite a friend or family member. Those members can stream from one device at a time. So that account is monitored separately from the family account. They're outside the household, so only one device at a time. There's also a profile transfer feature. So if they already have a Max profile and a history, they can move that in. It's not available yet to bundle subscribers. So if you're getting Max bundled in with something else, you won't have the ability to do this quite yet. But it is available if you're a direct subscriber. And I believe you can only add one, at least for the time being.
Yeah, this seems like the savviest move. I put in there a quote from Sun Tzu in The Art of War. He says, build for your opponent a golden bridge to retreat from. And we have seen in the past various companies trying to, air quotes, crack down on free riders. We've also seen HBO in the past try to play both sides of it, simultaneously creating a black market and then bragging about how popular they are in the black market with Game of Thrones. And then finally, but this is the best thing is, congrats, your service is so great, people are stealing it. Now, how about you not screw up your reputation and offer them a golden bridge to retreat upon that involves $7.99.
And, to be fair, Netflix did exactly this first. They've always offered that, and I think they offer more than one. So you can argue that Max's isn't even the best way of doing it, but it seems to be becoming the standard, at least for now, for this kind of thing. Speaking of Netflix, Netflix reported its Q1 numbers, first report where it's focusing on revenue, not subscriber numbers. So it is made the move from customer acquisition to let's make money. Let's act like a profitable company. And that's what they think their shareholders should be concerned with, not whether subscribers went up or down in this or that particular region. Are they monetizing those subscribers? Revenue number was good too, up 12.5%, earnings per share of $6.61, beating expectations. They expect to grow 15% in Q2. And interestingly, during the earnings call, co-CEO Ted Sarandos said he hopes AI can make films 10% better, not just cheaper. He was referring to James Cameron saying that AI could make films 50% cheaper, but maybe not better. Sarandos said, our talent today is using AI tools to do set references, previs, VFX sequence prep, shot planning, all kinds of things today that kind of make the process better.
Yeah, and I think we've touched obliquely on this. It seems like humans have a certain built-in tolerance, and when they have for certain amounts of time or annoyances, and then when they have more resources, very rarely do they remain satisfied with what they had. They just expect more from it. And think about even, who knows how many yottabytes of information are in a single subspace communication on Star Trek. But at the end of the day, the loading bar seems to take exactly as long as Windows takes, because there's just that built-in amount of waiting that we're willing to do. And when we do get more bandwidth, what do? We download the 8K version instead of the 1080p.
We download the bigger thing because now we can. Yeah, exactly. Also, I saw a lot of scuttlebutt that people now think Netflix is a good bet because they are unaffected by tariffs. And you know, that's part of the reason for that is they have a true multinational strategy where they make their content in multiple locations around the world.
I actually worry about that in terms of overall productivity, because let's say, you know, I run my little online store, and a fair bit of the online store is fulfilling stuff, and a fair bit of it comes from international stuff, which means I'm like on the fence of, do I want to invest my energy on moving physical, we'll just say lockpicks or whatever, or do I want to take that same time and decide more online courses? And so now incentives are aligned, and you know, that's fine for me, but I'm like, what if the whole country decides to do that? Now we're just a bunch of people all podcasting in circles and ain't nobody bothering to grow food. Yeah. And of course that's a cartoon. It's just a thing that I worry about.
If you hadn't already seen the name in our rundown, what would you have guessed the top free ad-supported streaming service was?
Oh, you know what? I actually glanced over it. So I actually don't know. I would have said Freevee ?
Samsung TV Plus is now the top provider of free ad-supported TV channels with nearly 700 channels now streaming in the U.S.
I guess that's the power of having that infrastructure.
Having the platform, right?
I've heard it put as, what's the best pizza? It's Red Baron. Not because it's good. It's because it's already there.
Yeah, because it's in your grocer's
right
freezer.
There, right this minute.
Amazon plans to launch its first streaming device on its new operating system called Vega OS later this year. Vega is a Linux-based OS, but not Android-based like Fire OS. So this has been in the works to kind of give Amazon a little more control over the underlying operating system. We'll see how it goes, because they need to get everybody to make new apps for it if you're going to have your own OS. Roku's already been through that. They've done that for years. Kind of harder to get people on board, but easier if you're Amazon, I suppose.
I was really surprised, Tom, first of all, that it took me 20 years to do it unironically. But I finally installed Linux on a PC because I'm dealing with some partition issues or whatever. Yeah. And I just wanted to test. And so I'm like, well, screw it. I'll just run Linux. And I'm like, oh, look at this. Neat interface. Neat that. And I'm like, let me just watch some content of on Apple TV Plus. And it's like, oh, that's right. That's right. This is not a play ball OS.
Yeah.
This is a.
So let me guess. You could get there on the website. It just wouldn't let you play because you didn't have the proper DRM.
Oh, sure, sure. And of course, rather than let me know immediately, it let me go through 17 bajillion D steps and then said psych.
Oh, sorry. You're using Linux. Yeah. There are ways around that, but you have to do them, and that's not the point. The point is you want to play.
Yes,
press play.
This guy Brian's.
Yes. LG will use a machine learning model from Zen Apps to categorize your viewing patterns by emotion based on publicly available information about the shows. It'll then use that to inform advertisers who wish to reach certain kinds of emotional profiles. So it's not trying to read your face. It's saying, people who watch this pattern of shows tend to fit this kind of profile. Like, they're a goal-driven achiever, they're a social connector, they're an emotionally engaged planner, and then advertisers are like, that's who we're trying to reach with our product, and then LG will show you those ads.
Yeah, it's really remarkable to be in an age where computers finally understand the word ish. Like they're like, whatever label you want to put on it, it's like they see all of your behaviors. They see what comes out of your face. They look at I was marveling recently how the YouTube algorithm not only remembers, it remembers every single thing you've ever watched on YouTube. It is not surprised if it's showing it to you for a second time or not. And that level of congruence, like, it knows who you connect with when you act this way. And even though it's still you, when you act another way, it knows what percentage of those people are still into your thing and what percentage of the people maybe don't even like you, but they like watching people who act that way. And so this would have driven me nuts a year or three ago, but now I've just seen it be right too many times for me to question it.
A live-action Pacific Rim TV series is in development at Amazon, according to Variety. The new series will apparently be a prequel to Guillermo del Toro's original Pacific Rim movie. Screenwriter Eric Heiserer, who did Arrival, is attached to develop and write the show.
I love Pacific Rim as a TV show as an idea. As a movie, it was what parts of it I sat through were too heavy-handed and too intellectually.
I'm sorry,
insulting.
Brian. I can't hear your criticism of its heavy-handedness over the bashing of kaiju of each
Exactly.
other, which is all I cared about.
But what's funny is like, go ahead and do your talking, and give me 3 5-minute fight set pieces per episode. I'm in. That sounds rad.
It feels interesting that they hired the Arrival screenwriter. Very good with concepts and alienness. And that feels like they're going more towards the conceptual side of Pacific Rim, which is odd.
No, that would be the exact right play, because you don't have time to surprise with nuance in 2 to 3 hours. You absolutely have time to astonish us with secretly being smart. Now, here's the thing. They're going to present it. This is a prediction, lock it in. They're going to present it like all the face smashing.
Kaiju your face.
And then
with the
maybe
new Pacific Rim series.
Yeah. And then maybe they'll admit to a little bit of relationship stuff in there, but they will never speak aloud that secretly it's brilliant and smart, but then secretly it'll be brilliant and smart.
Yeah. Finally, a key takeaway from research firm PQ Media's 12th annual Global Consumer Media Usage Forecast is that 2025 to 2029, total consumption of media is going to fall 0.3%. I'm sorry, total consumption is falling 0.3% this year compared to 2024, which would be the first decline since 2009. So the report is 2025 to 2029, but they noted that media consumption fell 0.3% this year. And when they say media, they mean media. They're not like traditional media. This is anything on the web, anything app related, games, movies, books, whatever. Total consumption fell 0.3%. First time since 2009.
Yeah, that intuitively makes sense to me in that let's be over reductive here. And you can tell me if this lands with you too, Tom. You have two vectors. You have ease of access to relevant media in increasingly surprising ways. Like, for example, the rise of podcasting and the relevance of the podcasts increasing, and you're spending more time consuming podcasts while you're doing other stuff. So you're able to, like a similar pattern of fractal, reach into more territory. But the flip side is, I think ultimately this boils down to people are wanting to go outside and be in the world post-pandemic, because remember, there was a pandemic, and I know people are like, that was a million years ago. Like, yeah, about 2 years is when it wrapped up, which means about middle of 2024 will be when people are ready to re-engage with the world, and then they do.
And I set this up improperly. They forecast the fall will happen this year. One of the reasons is that media consumption skyrocketed because of the U.S. election. And there were multiple other weighty elections last year. And there was the World Cup. And there was the Olympics. And you've got none of those happening in 2025. So it could also be a temporary dip.
What that suggests to me is that the trend had already been happening, but it was covered up by those once in a long time events.
Yeah, which would make sense to your post-COVID thing, right? It was happening a little closer to 2020, but then people are like, oh, but I've got to see what happens next on the Olympics /election/World Cup. So let's move on to the cheddar. You've got a working mute button. Our first email comes from Ander. Hello, gang. You guys have always given me extremely good recommendations for TV shows, and I think I might now have the opportunity to repay you. During the After Talk episode, you mentioned wanting to see a parody 80s TV show. I would like to recommend you watch Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. It's set up as a TV show filmed in the 80s, but was too extreme to air. But now, early 2000s, the BBC has run out of things to show and dug this back up. It stars Cordkiller favorite Matt Berry and personal favorite Richard Ayoade. It's a parody of 80s horror TV set in a hospital, and I believe is absolutely something you'd enjoy. Thanks for keeping me company on my drive across Idaho. P.S. Brian called me out for not giving my full attention right as I started reading the assembly instructions for some power tools, and I felt quite ashamed.
Ha! I love it. Yeah, I think we've mentioned Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and I've seen certainly many clips. I haven't sat down and given him my full attention just because a lot of the affection that I hear for that is something that I already kind of overplayed in my head, rewatching Heat Vision and Jack and that similar vibe. But
That's a good reminder, though. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely on my list of when I got time.
Yeah. And Matt Berry and Richard Ayoade from the It crowd reunited for this. And then James wrote, "Hey, Tom and Brian, I just wanted to reach out because I heard Tom mumble something about Dungeon Crawler Carl when Foot Pictures came up on Cordkillers. And I have to say, I love that series. I'm super excited that it's getting the TV treatment. I would love to hear your thoughts about the book on Aftertalk. Audiobook is the best. It's one of those books that just feels like it was made for the screen, and Seth MacFarlane, who is said to be producing it. It got me thinking, are there any books you guys really enjoy that you think would make a killer TV show? I'd love to hear your picks, especially if they're anything like Carl in terms of fun, action, or wild world building. Always looking for new reads and curious about what's on your radar. Your boss, James."
You know what? It's been a minute since I've read just a novel for fun, and we talked about this in Aftertalk, but I think I brought up The First 15 Lives of Harry August. Mm-hmm. That would be fascinating as a TV show. Like, I don't want to see that as a movie. I want to see that as a TV show so that maybe, I don't know, it could take multiple episodes to go through a lifetime. And then by season 3, like we're, we've spanned from, one end of the whole timeline to another. That would be really fun.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I love the idea of Seth MacFarlane's company doing Dungeon Crawler Carl. I hope it happens. I hope it goes great. Both versions of the audiobook of Dungeon Crawler Carl are fascinating and wonderful. I'm listening to just the narrated version, which is amazing, but I've sampled a little bit of the full cast version that they did, and that just sounds incredible. Have you read Dungeon Crawler Carl, Brian?
Nope. But,
okay.
We've hit critical mass where it's kicking in my don't miss out feelings.
Let's talk about it a little more on Aftertalk, because I think I can force you to hate that you don't have more time in your life.
Only members of our super PAC get to hear the discussion.
Yes, that's right. Meanwhile, I would want to see The Ministry of Time by Kalyan Bradley turned into a show. The premise of it is that there is a woman working for the Ministry of Time in the UK, where they have brought people from the past into the present, and they are helping them get accustomed to modern ways to see if they can survive as a defense project. Like, if they can get these people to live, then they can go back and get the geniuses of military history to help advise them and such. It's a really, really interesting book, and I think it would make a great TV show because it's both period piece and science fiction of the future all in one, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Well, folks, that's it for us. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We are live at twitch.tv/Night Attack Tuesdays now at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.